Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants 3 summer signings. He's set to sit down for talks with Ed Woodward over our business in the next couple of weeks. Solskjaer wants a forward, a right winger and a centre half. This year's summer transfer window is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's biggest transfer window in his managerial career, and Woodward must back him in the summer transfer window. It said the other week we are prepared to smash our transfer record in the summer, and Woodward is set to hand Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a huge war chest to sign top players in all areas. So far, Solskjaer's endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. He's made good signings. In the summer of 2019, he brought Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. In January of last year, he brought Bruno Fernandes in and Odion Ighalo in on loan. And in the summer transfer window of last year, he brought Donny van de Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Facundo Pellistri and Amad Diallo Traore. But Solskjaer has obviously not got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Solskjaer. He did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. The board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years, reflecting how poor our recruitment policy's been. We've overpaid for players and the board haven't backed any of the managers enough that we've had since Ferguson retired. It was a disappointing January transfer window for us. We only saw one arrival and that was Amad Diallo Traore, but Solskjaer did say a few times during the January transfer window that he wasn't expecting any signings. We was focusing a lot more on the outgoings in the January transfer window rather than the incomings. To Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's credit, he has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he come in. We saw a few players leave in January. We saw Jesse Lingard go out on loan to West Ham. We saw Tiedemann Mengi go out on loan. Facundo Pellistri went out on loan. Odion Ighalo said his farewells to the club. Timothy Fosu-Mensah left the club and Marcus Rojo left the club. And I think more players will leave Manchester United in the summer. So like I say, there has been a lot of players on our agenda. I recently give you the news on Jules Koundé from Sevilla. La Razón, which is a Spanish outlet, they said we are considered the favourites to sign Jules Koundé, and we are prepared to pay £61 million for him. He is our top transfer target. Jules Koundé's performances this season for Sevilla have been outstanding. He's been at Sevilla almost 2 years. Sevilla paid £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019. He's played 72 games for Sevilla and he's under contract with Sevilla until 2024. Do you think he'd go well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line? He said not so long ago we had a 5-man centre-back shortlist. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would love to sign Erling Haaland. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows the player well because Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. Solskjaer is following Erling Haaland's progress. He recently made a new Erling Haaland transfer admission and opened up on the Erling Haaland relationship. Earlier on this season, Erling Haaland's father was talking about his son's transfer links to Manchester United. Back in December 2019, Woodward and Solskjaer went up to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Manchester United. Erling Haaland has been a revelation since his arrival at Dortmund. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. Next year, his £68 million release clause becomes active. There's a good chance he'll leave in the summer transfer window. We've got a chance of signing Jadon Sancho in the summer transfer window. Kicker via Sports Witness recently said that a Jadon Sancho transfer is coming in the summer. £60 million has been quoted. He recently said we believe we can get him for just £50 million. Said earlier on this season from Bill that Dortmund reduced their asking price for Sancho to £88 million. But Dortmund face a summer of exits. He says they could sell up to 8 players to raise funds. Dortmund had a very, very good win recently. They beat Sevilla 3-2. You know, Haaland scored twice in that game and Jadon Sancho did well. I've had some. Yeah. Sancho has 100 goal contributions now in 100 starts for Dortmund. Earlier on this season, Jadon Sancho made an admission saying that he has endured a difficult season at Dortmund. Dortmund are enduring a poor season. Last summer, Jadon Sancho was our number one priority target, but Borussia Dortmund's valuation was £108 million. You know, we was not willing to meet that valuation. But he did say a few times last summer that the personal terms had been agreed, the agent fees had been agreed, and even a contract had been agreed. Fabrizio Romano, who's a very reliable Italian journalist, he's spoken a lot about the Jadon Sancho transfer saga, and so too has Bill's Christian Falk. Dortmund made it clear to us last summer that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Dortmund. Analysing the vast majority of his career at Dortmund, he's been very consistent. This is his 4th season with them. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2023, and Dortmund paid just £8 million for him from Man City back in 2017. We had a very, very good win yesterday night. We beat Real Sociedad 4-0 in the Europa League round of 32 first leg. Obviously, it was goals from Bruno Fernandes. He scored twice. And Rashford scored and Daniel James scored. And it was a very, very good performance by Manchester United. We are basically into the next round. But yeah, we needed that win. Because, you know, we have been out of form in the league recently. We've only won 1 of our last 5 league games. We've got to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. You know, we do play Newcastle on Sunday. Don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recently admitted that he's still waiting to open talks over a new contract. I think he does deserve a new contract, reflecting on the progress he's made in the last year or so. said the other week we will begin contract talks with Solskjaer at the end of this season. He says we could offer him a new 2-year deal on one condition, that's if we qualify for the Champions League. Solskjaer is into the final 18 months of his current contract. Solskjaer signed a 3-year contract when he got the job permanently back in March 2019. This is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's third season and his second full season. I think he's going to be given at least another season at the football club. Like I've said to you, Solskjaer needs to win a trophy at Man United to avoid the sack. Now, like I've said to you, the FA Cup is a chance of a trophy. We're into the quarterfinals of that. And the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. And we're into the last 16 of that. We haven't won a trophy since 2017. And, a club of our stature need to be winning trophies. Obviously, I've disregarded the title. The vast majority of Manchester United fans, I think, now have disregarded the title. Manchester City are 10 points in front of us. They are the champions-elect. Solskjaer did say, though, after our 1-1 draw with West Brom, that we are still in the title race, and he says we will not settle for second in the title race. But that's just Solskjaer playing mind games, because Solskjaer made an admission after our 3-3 draw with Everton and said we shouldn't be considered as title chasers. I think we'll win another title at some point, but I don't know when. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013, so we haven't won it now for like 8 years. But yeah, like I say, for us to be genuine title contenders, we need more signings. We've got to start beating some of the big teams as well in the Premier League. We have struggled against the top 6 sides in the Premier League this season. But yeah, top 4 is our aim now, and I can almost assure that we are going to finish in the top 4. We need to finish in the top 4 anyway to qualify for the Champions League. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been criticised a lot as Manchester United manager. Recently I've heard Man United fans criticising him because we've endured bad periods under him. We haven't done well in the league recently. First part of this season was very, very poor. Got to say, earlier on this season, Solskjaer was lucky not to be sacked, and we actually deserve credit for sticking with him. And at the first part of last season, was very, very poor. We endured our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. Solskjaer has been Manchester United manager for over 2 years. Reflecting now on his being at the football club, he has gained some managerial experience. He's learned quite a bit on the job. Man United is the 3rd club in his managerial career. He's managed over 100 games as Man United manager in all competitions. We appointed him in December 2018 to replace Mourinho. Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job, despite him knowing the culture of the club. Solskjaer knew he had to come in and, bring consistency back. He knew he had to come in and get the right players, and like I've said, he has made good signings, and he knew he had to come in and get rid of a lot of the deadwood, which he has done to his credit. But yeah, in his first 3 months, he was the interim manager, wasn't he? Don't forget, he won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions as interim manager, so reflect on that. The club decided to give him the job permanently in March 2019. A lot of United fans said, though, we did give him the job too soon. But yeah, I think he's doing pretty well, Solskjaer. We're second in the Premier League, we're in the FA Cup quarterfinals, we're more or less into the last 16 of the Europa League. Got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season, lost to Man City 2-0. Did well last season in his first full season, got us 3rd, guided us to 3 semi-finals and got us qualification for the Champions League. We've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. I think we are unbeaten in our last 9 away games in all competitions. But there's a few things that Solskjaer's got to do at the football club, like I've already gone through with you. He's got to get his selections right persistently. He's got to keep Lindelof out of the team because Lindelof's a liability. I think at some point he's got to put Dean Henderson as number one, but it won't be this season. He's got to drop Anthony Martial. Cavani's now overtaken him. And I think he's got to give Donny van der Beek more opportunities. But you've got to say Solskjaer is the best manager since Ferguson, and he was certainly a much better manager than David Moyes was. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our fourth permanent manager since Ferguson. 3 managers have been sacked since Ferguson. That was David Moyes, sacked him after 10 months. Finished 7th under the David Moyes era. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. Ferguson was at the fault for ever recommending Moyes in at that time, but that's the only mistake Ferguson made. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season. The reasons it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players such as Rashford, Pogba, Martial, Shaw and all of that. And the board weren't backing the signings that he wanted to recommend in. And we've spent over £1 billion since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. Don't forget Solskjaer is still inheriting players from other managerial eras. And there is players that are really, really improving at Manchester United. Like I said, Dean Henderson has done really, really well in the games he's played in this season. He did quite well yesterday night against Real Sociedad. Made a couple of good saves when he was called upon. Dean Henderson's got a hell of a lot of development in him, and at some point he will become our number one because he is reliable enough now to become our number one. He has got that experience behind him. Don't forget he did enjoy 2 successful loans with Sheffield United. Before the start of this season, didn't Dean Henderson sign a 6-year contract with Man United, so he committed his future with the club. And Solskjaer's admitted that it's becoming more and more difficult to leave Dean Henderson out of the side. But David De Gea is going to remain our number one for at least this season. David De Gea is a liability now because he has made calamitous mistakes in the last couple of years. Gary Neville came out not so long ago and said that Solskjaer must deal with the goalkeeper situation. He also said that De Gea, Lindelof and Maguire are not good enough to win the title. And Jamie Carragher come out and said Solskjaer needs to drop De Gea and give Dean Henderson a run in goal. This is David De Gea's 10th season at the football club, so he has been a long servant. He's made over 500 appearances for Man United in all competitions. But a few years ago, David De Gea was regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world. He did get criticised a lot after our 3-3 draw with Everton because he made 2 mistakes in that game. Effectively, he cost us that game. Luke Shaw, he's really done well. Luke Shaw gets forward well, he gets in good positions, he puts good crosses into the box, he creates chances for his teammates defensively. Luke Shaw's superb. And Luke Shaw still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Alex Telles last summer. Shaw's had a good career at Man United, apart from his injuries of course. He's been at the club now over 6 years. We paid £30 million for Luke Shaw back in 2014 from Southampton. But Shaw didn't play yesterday against Real Sociedad. Went with Alex Telles at left back. And Telles put a good performance out. Like I mentioned, he was proactive in the final third. He dealt well with Januzaj. Telles gets forward well and defensively he's quite good. But Telles doesn't get forward as well as Luke Shaw does. Telles hasn't played nowhere near as much as I expected, but at one point he did have corona. We got Telles in a deal worth 15.4 million. But in the games he's played in Tellez, most of them I've been impressed with him. And Wan-Bissaka, I've got to say, he's improving. There has been some games this season where he's got forward well. And he's got in good positions and he's put good crosses into the box. I think he needs to get forward a bit more though. Defensively, Wan-Bissaka is superb. He did play yesterday against Sociedad. Defensively he was good, but he did get an early booking. I like Eric Bailly a lot. He's a very good centre-half. You know, he played yesterday against Sociedad, put a good performance out, made some good interceptions, made some good blocks. You know, we just need to keep Bailly alongside Maguire. But the question is, can Bailly stay fit? Because, you know, Bailly is injury-prone. Fred's really improving as a Man United player. I think his passing's improving. He's breaking up the play well. He's showing good attacking intent. Fred did make his 100th appearance for the club in our 1-1 draw with West Brom, and he weren't too good in that, to be honest with you. Fred has been at the club now for a few years. We paid, was it like 40 odd million pounds for him? Was the add-ons included? Got to say, Bruno Fernandes, he's an exceptional player. He's made the difference in this team as Bruno Fernandes. You know, like I said, he scored twice yesterday against Real Sociedad. I just like the way Bruno Fernandes scores goals. I like the way he creates chances. You know, he gets forward well. Best player that we've brought in since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. Fernandes said on his 12-month anniversary that he was planning on spending many years at Manchester United. He's won Player of the Month now quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. But in most of his games at Man United, he has been consistent. There's only been a few games where he has looked off the pace. He weren't great against West Brom. I thought he was poor actually against West Brom, despite that fantastic volley he scored. Said earlier on in the season we were 3 months into contract talks with Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes' current contract expires in 2025. There's an option to extend for a further 12 months. He predominantly plays as a number 10. Paul Pogba, we've been getting the best out of him before he obviously got this thigh injury. He's done well in recent months. Solskjaer confirmed prior to the game against Real Sociedad that Paul Pogba is going to be out for the rest of February with this thigh injury. So he'll be back at some point in March. Paul Pogba had an ankle injury earlier on this season and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. He said the other week that we'd held talks with Paul Pogba over his future, and Solskjaer said Paul Pogba's happy at Man United and he suggested he could sign a new contract. Last month, it said Paul Pogba was considering making a U-turn at the club and he contradicted his agent Mino Raiola for the second time. His future is on hold until the end of the season. Mino Raiola recently admitted that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence. You know, Mino Raiola doesn't like being criticised and he doesn't have a good relationship with Man United. He made the announcement back in December regarding his client, and Solskjaer was infuriated with Mino Raiola's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. We have revealed our asking price for Pogba. It's £100 million. There's 3 clubs that want him at Real Madrid, PSG and Juventus. I think there's a good chance he'll go back to Juventus because he enjoyed 4 good years with them before he came back to us. And reports from Italy recently said that Juventus offered us 4 players in exchange for Paul Pogba. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's our most expensive signing because we paid £89 million for him. This is his 5th season at the football club since he rejoined. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, so he's under contract with Man United until June 2022. So like I say, he has had a long-running transfer saga. Donny van de Beek, he's a good player when he plays. Obviously, he's got a muscle injury at the moment, so obviously didn't play yesterday night. Donny van de Beek, though, in general has played nowhere near as much as I expected. Most of his appearances come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league so far this season. But not so long ago, Solskjaer promised Donny van de Beek more game time. And Solskjaer made an admission saying that, Van de Beek, he's unhappy at the club with his lack of game time. Van de Beek can play in like 3 different roles. We got him in a deal worth £40 million. From Ajax last summer, we paid £35 million up front and there was £5 million in add-ons. Van de Beek's got a contract with the club until 2025. Mason Greenwood, I've been very, very impressed with him since he broke into the first team squad, and he's done very, very well recently despite scoring. Mason Greenwood can make some very, very good runs down that right-hand side. He can carve openings, he can create chances, and he can score goals. And Mason Greenwood's got a lot of development in him. Recently, Mason Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract at Manchester United. That keeps him at the club until 2025. There's also an option to extend for a further year. He deserves a new contract reflecting how good he's done though. At the start of this season, we give Greenwood that number 11 shirt. Ollie's been defending him a lot this season. Earlier on this season, I didn't really have much of a perception on Mason Greenwood. Edinson Cavani, he's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. I like the way Edinson Cavani holds up the play. He creates chances. He scores good goals. Obviously, Cavani didn't play yesterday night because he's got a muscle injury. I'm thinking when Solskjaer does his press conference for the Newcastle game, he'll give us an update on Edinson Cavani and Donny van de Beek and all of that. As you all know, Edinson Cavani wants to stay at Man United beyond this season, but we have yet to trigger that 1-year extension on his contract. Edinson Cavani's into the final 4 months of his current contract. We got Cavani last summer on a 3 transfer. He signed a 1-year contract with Man United with an option of a 2nd year. Marcus Rashford, he's done very, very well. I think at some point, though, he does need a rest because we have overplayed him and he has had bad periods as Rashford. Did pretty well yesterday against Solskjaer. Got his name on the score sheet, like I said, and got an assist. But he should have had more than 1 goal because he wasted quite a few chances. Marcus Rashford started centrally yesterday, but like I've said, I actually prefer Marcus Rashford out wide on the left because that's where he's more effective. He's much better on the left than he is on the right. Rashford's been part of the club for several years. Mamad Diallo Traore, he's going to be a good asset for us. Made his first team debut yesterday, came on in the game against Sociedad. They showed his tricks and that. Solskjaer has actually said that Mamad Diallo Traore could make his first start next week in the 2nd leg against Real Sociedad at Old Trafford. Mamad Diallo Traore as well did very, very well for the under-23s. So there you are. And like I've said, I think the players that could leave us in the summer, there's a chance that Pogba will leave still. Juan Mata could also leave. He did play yesterday, came on. But he doesn't really play a lot now, Juan Mata, does he? Let's be honest. Jones, I'm expecting him to leave this year. I'm surprised he didn't leave in January, Phil Jones, to be honest with you. But Solskjaer said he's giving him a second chance. Jones has been out of injury for the past 12 months. James, do you think he'll go in the summer, or do you think we'll keep James? People say he's a good backup. Matic, do you think there's a chance we'll offload him in the summer? So, yeah. So anyway, guys, on my next video, it will be your Man United Newcastle preview. Drop your comments, like, explore on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.